All right, so what we want to talk about today is how to enhance your no-gi close guard offense. So a few really simple details we talk a lot about here is developing your subset game in your close guard. So with me today is Mr. Colton Kish. So we're going to start with our basic close guard. Close guard generally is understood and looked at as a neutral position because it is, especially in jiu-jitsu where there's no striking involved, the scales are pretty even. My opponent's got upper body dominance, I have lower body dominance, and especially in no-gi, when I don't have the luxury of collar grips and sleeve grips, enhancing my offensive game requires a little bit different details and context. So let's turn this a little bit. So what we like to work a lot here at Fifth Element is developing your subset guard game. Okay, so close guard is kind of a system in and of itself. Butterfly guard is, spider guard is also. Okay. So there's various different subsets within your close guard, which we really want to look to get to. Those are like the next step off of your close guard that are going to enhance your offensive game. For example, those are things like our high guard, underhook, clamp guard, overhook, clamp guard. Okay, we have things like shield guard or seated guard. Okay, so my ability to get from close guard to, let's say, seated guard, and then into clamp guard is really how I'm going to set up my offensive game. From close guard, very, very limited offense. Okay, so we're going to look at a few of our very basic subsets that when you enhance your ability to get to those subsets quickly and easily, you're really going to strengthen your no-gi guard offense. Okay, so let's turn this way a little bit. One of the first things we want to identify, there's two things we're looking at that are going to determine which guard subset we're going to. Number one is my opponent's elbows, okay? When I look at my opponent's elbows, when they're inside of my knee line, it generally behooves me to work my opponent's elbows deeper inside of my body, okay? That is going to set up back takes. That is going to set up high guard, okay? If my opponent's elbows are outside of my hip line, then my job is to get them further away from his body, utilizing things like clamp guard. Yep, so going through our list, number one is going to be looking at elbows inside. What are our subsets there? Number one is always going to be a good high guard. Okay, so elbows inside, we elevate the hips slightly. Okay, 2-on-1 controls, and we're just going to tuck the elbow to the inside of my center line or deeper. Okay, if the elbows are blocking my hips, I cannot climb my guard. So once I clear the hip line of the elbow, now we can climb, lock the shoulder. Once that's done, we set up a lot of offensive potential. Number two is going to be our back grabs. Same detail, but this time we're going to move that elbow across body. As I do that, I'm going to kick my hips out. So immediately I can sit up and get a good bowling ball grip here. Once that's done, we can work back takes. We can work pendulum sweeps, etc. Okay, now looking at if the elbows are outside of my hip line, okay, that is when we're going to start looking at things like our clamp guard. I'm a big fan of clamp guard personally. So, easiest way to get to clamp guard is with the underhook. We punch through, we're going to gable grip to the shoulder. That's our first clamp. Then I'm going to bring that shoulder to my chest, okay? Notice we're creating a nice perpendicular framework with my elbows. One side of that frame goes against the jaw, the other side is in the armpit. So when I elevate the armpit frame, that opens the door for my hips to come out the back door. And then we're going to reinforce our frame with our knee on the shoulder. Okay, that's our underhook clamp guard. The only variation with the overhook is a lot of times hands will be on the mat first, so I can sit to a nice overhook and then stay in game. Okay, last one we're going to look at, these are just our basic five. Okay, last one we're going to look at is going to be our seated guard. Okay, seated guard, same things. Elbows are outside of the hip line. One of the easiest ways to get there is we put the hands to the mat. We blade the hips, and we create framework. We've got a nice 45-degree angle support post, so if my opponent puts pressure on me, I can take the weight. Let's say he wants to body lock me and start driving me down. That is when we start working on transitioning from guard subset to guard subset. So if he does start driving me down, boom, we'll transition into guard subset number two, which is going to be a clamp guard. Okay? So, again, in this video we looked at basic subsets from our closed guard, which is your high guard, overhook clamp guard, underhook clamp guard, and a back grab. Okay? Oh, and our seated guard too. So in developing your no-gi guard offense, really try to concentrate on which of those subsets works really well for you. And then when you can enhance those subsets, that is greatly going to enhance your ability to be offensive and dangerous from your closed guard game. All right, thank you very much.